Hey, and welcome to this video. Today I would like to present and discuss monistic and dualistic perspectives in social sciences. I will first briefly define monism and dualism, and then explain the 5 research perspectives: positivism, constructivism, critical realism, reflexivism, and discourse theory. Monism versus dualism is a philosophical issue known as the mind-body debate, which is about whether or not the body and soul exist independently of each other. The body-soul problem has been around since ancient times and has concerned many philosophers since then, especially whether everything can be reduced to a single substance, and thus the soul can be reduced to states in the brain, or whether there is a spiritual and a material substance, and whether they exist separately or are intertwined. While this question is primarily philosophical in origin, it also has implications for the way we do science and understand the world, and the way we achieve and create knowledge in general. If we relate monism and dualism to our understanding of the world and society, we have the following 2 positions. First, dualism assumes that the world exists independently of our minds and that objects have meaning and relationships independently of our imagination and social construction. Second, monism, on the other hand, assumes that everything in the world is created in and through our minds. This means that we have access to the world just through our mind. We can see that monism and dualism both refer to the world and society, and whether they exist independently of our imaginations. As a researcher, this has implications for our assumptions about how we can acquire knowledge and whether we are objective or subjective as a researcher. The second dimension that is important in this context is observability or non-observability. There are people who say that an object, for example the tree outside in the garden, exists even if I'm not there, and that it has its meaning as a tree, even if I do not inscribe that meaning. And there are people who say that the tree exists independently of our minds, but when I see the tree, the social construction begins in our minds in the form of the allocation of resources, for example. It can be seen as an air filter, as a source of recreation, as a threat during storms, and so on. And then there's researchers who say that we cannot know if the tree would exist independently of our mind because it is not independently of our mind that we can see the tree. A tree is, of course, a very simple example, but this also, of course, counts for more complex objects of research like culture or power structures that are obviously not so observable. Researchers who assume that the world exists independently of our thoughts and that phenomena must be observable for us to be able to study them scientifically are called positivists. Researchers who assume that there is an observable world but that this world is also influenced by constructions and that we have a subject relationship to the world as researchers are called constructivists. Researchers who assume that there are unobservable structures and causal effects, but that these effects also exist independently of us, are critical realists. And researchers who believe that our thoughts cannot be separated from the world and that there are also unobservable phenomena are reflexivists. The last strand, discourse theory, assumes that there are no independent meanings, that everything is created through thought and that we can think through society, and we can also not eliminate these assumptions neither. Thanks a lot for watching this video. If you liked it, you can subscribe to the channel and be informed about the next video.